Hey guys, Constance here. Welcome back to the farm. So the past 2 days we've been working on a couple of things. Here behind me you can see electric fencing. So it goes from the fence right here, which I am right next to Amos and Sophie. It goes from basically the corner out to there and then all the way down to the end of the goat area. So it's a great big area that we have fenced in. Right now I have a solar electric fence charger that I purchased yesterday. It is charging. It's got to be charging for 3 days outdoors in the sun and all that stuff before you can actually use it and turn it on. So that's doing its thing. And then today I came out here and I dug some posts right there, and you can see there's a board that goes across the top of the 2 posts that I put in. That is just attached temporarily because we are going to attach the fencing to the posts, and then we'll cut the fencing, wrap it around the post just to get it super secure, and then I'll put another board across to connect those 2 posts, just like I have right here for these posts. It's just a way to reinforce your corners or your openings, like your gates, so that the fence stays nice and solid and you don't get droopy gates, droopy corners, and things like that. That is a mistake that I made when we first moved in and we put the fencing in for the backyard for our dogs. I didn't really know anything about it, and we didn't put any sort of supports on the corners, and we've got a really saggy gate, which at this point the gate is actually kind of falling apart. And I have a metal 6-foot, well, a livestock farm gate just like that one that's leaning over the fence right there, that we're going to replace the gate for our backyard with. We're actually going to take down all of the fencing and redo it, because when we put it in, I didn't have any sort of fence puller to tighten the fence or anything like that, which I have an article where I explain how to do that super easy DIY thing. So myself and my son Jack actually put in the fencing, and I would literally hold the fence, pull as hard as I could, and he would hammer the staples in to hold it. So needless to say, it's not really great. I mean, it's worked fine for the dogs, but it doesn't look that great. It's kind of saggy, and at some point we are going to completely redo that. But the gate is prioritized. The gate will be taken care of first, and then we'll redo the fencing at some point, probably in the autumn after garden season's over. This gate will be going in the next day or 2. And then basically as soon as our fence charger is ready, we will hook it up here, and Amos and Sophie will have a great big area to run in. You know, I really debated back and forth about what kind of fencing I wanted to use for them. I thought about putting in a permanent fence like this one here for their area, but ultimately I went with the electric tape and the temporary poles, because this gives me the ability, much like this poultry netting here, it gives me the ability to move them around. So they're going to have a gate right here at the corner, or almost to the corner, right there. Right now they're going to be grazing that way, but then later on I'll be able to gather this all up and have them go that way, and I'll just be able to move them around so they're not always in the same space. So another thing I have on the agenda, as soon as this gate is set up and all that, and this is available to them, I'm actually going to take some of this poultry fencing and I'm going to divide off the area that they're currently in, really, so that they'll still be able to come in and get to their shelter and all of that, but they won't be able to go to all of the rest of it, because I'm going to open up the gate and make it to where all of these chickens can go inside there and scratch up all the droppings, all of the manure, and break everything up. Now I do go in there and I scoop up as much of it as I can, throw it into the compost area, but you never get all of it, and I just want the chickens to be able to go in there and just do their thing. it works out really well. When you have chickens that can go in there and do that, you don't end up getting manure pancakes or anything like that. It's just a great way to help take care of the land, the soil, and all of that where your animals are. Many years ago when we lived in North Carolina, we used to have a horse, and we had chickens that free roamed, and they would go out there and they would break up all of the manure piles, they would look for bugs and all of that. So there was never piles of manure anywhere. It was kind of their mission. And so that is one of the things I want to be able to do with all of them. Oh, and a quick update, 2 things. Number 1, I mentioned that working on the lawnmower and riding around in here, my back suddenly felt fine. It is still fine. Like I said in the other video, apparently my guess is that I had something pinched and that the vibration and the movement of the riding lawnmower worked that loose, and I have been fine ever since. Thank goodness. Because I got too much to do. I got too much to do to be laying around and nursing a bad back. But I am being careful, don't worry. I actually had to go get some straw and hay again, and I did not lift the bales. So, yes, I've been being careful. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention, I've had a lot of questions about the goat. The stray goat that showed up here out of the blue one day. Now, we had tried our best to catch that goat, and we just did not have any success in doing that. And after that day that we tried to catch it, we never saw it again, at least not here. So a couple days later, my son actually saw the goat. He was on his way here, and someone was driving down the road with the goat in the back of their truck, and the truck was actually going in the direction of the house that we think this goat had actually come from to begin with. So the goat was caught, somebody was able to catch him and took him where he needed to be. So just wanted to give an update on that, since I'd had so many questions, so many people inquiring about the stray goat that showed up. You know, I was actually at the vet this morning. I took Nubs in for his annual checkup. Stumper was in last week, and when I came out from the exam room, there in the waiting room were 2 little young Nigerian dwarf goats with their owners. Oh, they were adorable, absolutely adorable. But alrighty, let me head to the garden and see how things are going out there. So these are some onions that I planted last year and forgot about, and they never got harvested. Look at the size of this thing. And this one here is actually about to flower. Look at that. So I'm just gonna let it do its thing. This one too. That one's getting ready to flower. Look at my chamomile. I'm so happy to see that. So happy that came back. Still got a lot of planting to do in the garden. Still working on getting everything in, but it's coming along. So we are still waiting on our tractor. Our tractor is still in the shop. It's been there for about a month and a half at this point, and we got an update last week on the status of it. They are waiting on a part, and right now, with the state of chaos that the supply chain of everything is in, it's taking anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks to get the parts in, and then they've still got to fix it. So I am getting very anxious to get our tractor back, because we've got things that we're waiting on. Like, I've got the fence posts here for my permanent chicken fencing that, you know, we put in the posts, but we haven't put up the fencing yet because we're wanting to use the tractor to haul the spools or the rolls of fencing just to make our life easier. And yeah, that's actually another reason why I decided to use the electric tape for Sophie and Amos's area, because I want them to have more space and I want it now, and I don't want to have to wait for my tractor to come to put in permanent fencing. And really, like I said earlier, the movable fencing I think will be much better and healthier for them anyways, and good for the pasture and everything else. Alright you guys, so earlier in the beginning of the video you saw me putting together this soup in my slow cooker. This is German cabbage soup. It's a recipe that I actually got from my neighbor when we lived in Germany a very long time ago. It has potatoes and carrots, cabbage, leeks, onion, and then some beef broth, salt and pepper, nutmeg, parsley, bay leaf. I think that's about it. And that just all cooks together in the slow cooker here. And I'm going to add in half a cup of some sour cream. Oh, and caraway seeds. There's some caraway seeds in there. It is a German recipe after all. So now I'm just going to take my immersion blender and I'm going to give this a few buzzes. I'm not going to puree the whole thing. I'm just going to puree enough of it to make it a super thick and hearty soup. And then there'll still be lots of chunks of potato and carrots and all that in here. And doing this will mix in the sour cream as well. That'll do it. Look at that. Look at how thick that is. So you can see that. Look how nice and thick this soup is now. I wish you could smell how amazing this smells right now. Alright, so dinner is done. I'm going to have a bowl of this fantastic soup and just kind of relax for a little bit. Not something I do very often, but I do need to do it from time to time. If you are interested in making this soup, I will put a link to the recipe. I have it on my website, cosmopolitancornbread.com, and you can print it out, save it on Pinterest, or however you like to save your recipes. So thanks for joining me here again at the farm. I will talk to y'all next time.